Has H-Bomber Guy taught us nothing? Not too long ago, I was scrolling through YouTube and came across a video called Types of Time Travel in Movies by a channel called Rocket Riley. I looked at the thumbnail for a second and thought, hang on, I recognize that. So I opened a new tab and searched time travel in movies, and these were the first two results that popped up. You seeing what I'm seeing? Look how similar these thumbnails are. They both have 6 movies on them, they use the same kind of charts, and 3 of the 6 movies are exactly the same. Their placement is just different. Minute Physics is a great channel that's been putting out well-researched, high-quality content for more than a decade. Henry's a creator I really admire, so this Rocket Riley video immediately set off alarm bells in my head. Riley, if you're watching, by the way, I have something that I want to say to you specifically, but it's going to be at the end of the video. If you want to skip what you know is coming, there's a timestamp for you in the description. Anyway, Riley's video. Let's not get too hasty though. The thumbnails are similar, but maybe the videos themselves are different.
Let's start with Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card.
In Ender's Game, the protagonist, Ender Wiggin,
Time travel in this book is actually 100% realistic.
This type of time travel is grounded in real-world science.
It's traveling forward through time like we normally do, but at different rates.
In this type of time travel, characters experience time at a different rate due to their movement or position, often leading to them traveling forward in time while those in the original timeline experience time normally.
Oh. Well, maybe...
Which brings us to perhaps my all-time favorite of all fictional time travel. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. It's a kind of time travel where you instantly jump back in time and can interact with yourself, but it doesn't generate new timelines.
The next method of time travel is This Always Happened. In this time travel type, events are predestined, and the time traveler's actions in the past are part of the loop that has always existed. This is probably my favorite type of time travel since writers are able to make subtle nods to the future throughout a film.
For example, Harry and his friends are saved from dying by their time-traveling selves, the first time history gets to that point.
For example, in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Harry and Hermione use time turners to ensure that events unfold the way that they always have, without changing the course of history.
Wow. Crazy that he even has the same favorite type of time travel.
One of the simplest time travels is do-over time travel. For example, in Groundhog Day, Bill Murray's character relives the same day over and over again.
One of the most popular types of time travel in fiction is called a time loop, also known as a Groundhog Day phenomenon.
Yeah, these might just be the exact same video. But I always want to give a person the benefit of the doubt. Sure, Riley references a lot of the same movies, but both videos are talking about some of the most iconic time travel movies ever, right? Naturally, there would be at least a little overlap. The wording is similar in places, but maybe I'm grasping at straws. Riley has almost 500 videos, 160 million lifetime views, and more than 130,000 subscribers at the time of writing. So I decided to leave a comment that read as follows. I'm not quite going to accuse you of plagiarizing this video, but I'm close. This video is strikingly similar to the Minute Physics video Time Travel in Fiction Rundown, down to wording choices, films mentioned, and visuals. If that's a video that inspired you, I think you should mention it. And I decided to leave it at that. It was clear a decent amount of effort went into making the video, so I didn't want to be a jerk about it. Here's the thing though, I don't generally post comments from the channel you're watching currently. This channel is relatively new, and I've never really taken the time to curate its algorithm, so I'm usually surfing around and commenting from a much older channel. I swap over to this channel, find the video again, sort the comments by newest, and look for my comment. It's not there. The comment I left isn't there. So I shoot a message over to my friend Kylie to see if she can find my comment. She can't. I'm not sure if the average person knows this, but YouTube actually has a sneaky little feature that allows you to block certain words and phrases in your comment section. This feature has real utility, of course, but it can also be used to sanitize a comment section of valid criticism. I can't say this with certainty, but I would guess that Riley has his comment moderation set up in such a way that it flags comments that mention theft or plagiarism, and that ain't gonna fly.
Africa, that ain't gonna fly.
It turns out, my friends, that YouTubers are still plagiarizing. Let's start with Riley's long-form content, the main videos on his YouTube channel. This is a screenshot I took of Riley's 8 most recent videos in early March of 2025. Just looking here, how many of them do you think are plagiarized? The plagiarism in the time travel video wasn't even subtle. The thumbnails looked almost identical, and he barely even reworded the title. If someone does this sort of thing once, it's safe to assume they've done it twice. So I went through his 8 most recent videos and typed the titles word for word into YouTube's search bar to see if there were any matches. Houston, we have a pattern. So the titles and thumbnails are clearly stolen, or at least highly derivative, but what about the content of the videos themselves? Nothing to do but go through them one at a time. I'll start with his most recent video, how much would the Death Star cost in real life, and move backwards.
Believe it or not, a petition on We the People to build a Death Star actually gathered enough signatures to merit official government response.
Believe it or not, there was actually a petition on We the People asking the US government to build a Death Star. It gathered over 100,000 signatures, enough to get an official response.
Unsurprisingly, the US government didn't think it was the best idea. Their response was, the administration does not support blowing up planets.
Unsurprisingly, the government shot it down, stating, the administration does not support blowing up planets.
And why would we spend countless taxpayer dollars on a Death Star with a fundamental flaw that can be exploited by a one-man starship?
And questioning why taxpayer dollars should be spent on a project with a fundamental design flaw that could be exploited by a single starfighter.
Once again, the plagiarism here is hard to miss. The original video was uploaded by a channel called Second Thought, and Riley's video is almost identical. He barely even changes the words. And the craziest part is that the video Riley's plagiarizing is itself plagiarized. The YouTube channel The Imaginary Axis made a video along the same lines more than 3 years before Second Thought. In fairness, the videos aren't actually that similar, but there were a couple things that jumped out at me.
In 2012, the popular economics blog Centivs estimated a Death Star made entirely of steel with a density similar to that of a modern warship would cost around $852 quadrillion.
Centivs, the student economics blog at Lehigh University, determined that it would cost $852 quadrillion just to produce the steel required for construction.
According to the White House's official response, the administration does not support blowing up planets, and they have reservations about spending so much money on a machine that can be destroyed by a one-man starship.
Their response was, the administration does not support blowing up planets. And why would we spend countless taxpayer dollars on a Death Star with a fundamental flaw that can be exploited by a one-man starship?
And even Imaginary Axis's video wasn't the first video to the topic. Kyle Hill from Because Science made a video with the same title in March of 2015, beating the Imaginary Axis by 9 months. To be clear though, I'm not accusing the Imaginary Axis of plagiarism. His video has almost nothing in common with Kyle's. Kyle is a major victim of plagiarism in this story though, but we'll get to him later. Staying in the realm of Star Wars though, let's take a look at the 3 forbidden lightsaber combat forms explained. Riley plagiarized this video from the YouTube channel Red 5.
As seasoned fans may know, the Jedi Order has long been revered for their mastery of 6 out of the 7 classic forms of lightsaber combat.
In the world of Star Wars, the Jedi Order is renowned for mastering 6 distinct lightsaber combat forms.
Those being Shicho, Makashi, Sarisu, Ataru, Shigin Gemso, and Nieman.
These include Form 1, Shicho, Form 2, Makashi, Form 3, Saresu, Form 4, Ataru, Form 5, Shin and Gemso, and Form 6, Niman.
Trikata was a form of lightsaber combat developed for taking advantage of a lightsaber's ability to be turned on and off.
Trikata is a technique rather than a full combat form. The basic principle of Trikata is the use of the lightsaber's ability to be turned on and off during combat.
Same story here. The plagiarism is almost laughably obvious. The only thing Riley really changes is the order in which he talks about the different lightsaber forms. The third video is the one about types of time travel, which we already covered, so let's move on to the complete Targaryen family tree explained. The plagiarism in this one is a little tougher to find, at least for me. I don't know anything about Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon, so I'm probably not the guy to analyze and compare these videos. But the most glaringly obvious aspect of the plagiarism is the family tree itself. Matt Baker, who runs the YouTube channel Useful Charts, made an absolutely stunning chart covering the entire Targaryen family tree from Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. Riley then made an almost identical chart, giving no credit to Matt Baker, and based his entire video around it. I can't even imagine how long it took Matt to make the original chart. The research alone was probably staggering, let alone designing and creating the chart itself. Despite Riley's video being pretty different from Matt's as far as what he's actually saying, I still managed to find some stuff that lines up.
The Targaryens are well known for practicing incest in an effort to keep their line pure,
Aegon married his sister Aelena, continuing the Valyrian tradition of close marriages,
leaving only Balerion, who was ridden by Aegon. However, 2 new dragons had been born, Vhagar and Meraxes.
Aegon's conquest was greatly aided by his magnificent dragon, Balerion the Black Dread. Visenya, a skilled warrior in her own right, rode Vhagar. Rhaenys was Aegon's favorite sister and rode the swift dragon Meraxes.
Riley goes through the chart in pretty much the same order and mentions all the same names at the same times. This sort of thing is harder to spot when you have each video open in a separate tab, but when you have them next to each other and scrub through them in an editing timeline, the structural similarities are a lot easier to see. Riley's next video is the full life story of General Grievous. Most of the video's content was pulled from a video by Star Wars Theory that came out 8 years ago called How General Grievous Became a Cyborg and His Past Life.
General Grievous was an infamous Jedi killer
General Grievous, a Jedi killer with a past shrouded in tragedy,
who led the droid army during the Clone Wars.
known as the feared leader of the separatist droid army during the Clone Wars.
Originally, General Grievous was a Kaleesh male named Kaiman Jaishi Lal.
General Grievous was Kaiman Jaishi Lal, a Kaleesh warrior born on the outer rim planet of Kali.
This is another one that isn't even subtle. The same goes for his next video, The Real Size of Star Wars Ships Explained, which is pulled from a video by Generation Tech that was released 7 years ago.
The Millennium Falcon is about 34 meters by 34 meters. That puts it in a similar range of size to an Olympic swimming pool.
The Millennium Falcon. At about 34 by 34 meters, it's comparable in size to an Olympic swimming pool, which is 50 meters long and 25 meters wide.
Now for the Imperial class Star Destroyer, which is 1,600 meters or a mile long.
Now for the big leagues, the Imperial Star Destroyer. At 1,600 meters long, it's conveniently about a mile.
That's the length of 5 of the US Navy's Nimitz class aircraft carriers, which are 330 meters long.
That's equivalent to 5 US Navy Nimitz-class aircraft carriers lined up end to end.
This video might be the most blatant plagiarism on his entire channel. The thumbnail is almost identical, the title is exactly the same, and he barely even restructures the text from the original script. And the last video of this introductory set is Are There Aliens in Dune?, which also doesn't bother to change the title from the original video by Quinn's Ideas, which came out 4 years ago.
There are at least 13,000 worlds under the influence of the great houses of the Landsraad at the start of the Dune series.
At the beginning of the Dune series, the Great Houses of the Landsraad manage over 13,000 planets.
Holtzman Drive technology allows for instantaneous travel between the inhabited planets of the galaxy.
Thanks to the Holtzman Drive, traveling between these planets happens almost instantaneously.
After the reign of the God Emperor, the great scattering of mankind would send humans out in all directions.
After the reign of the God Emperor, mankind scattered in all directions.
It's clear from looking through his videos that Riley genuinely likes and knows a good deal about Star Wars, but I don't really get that impression when it comes to properties like Dune or Game of Thrones. Listening to the way he reads his scripts in those videos, it doesn't even sound like he knows what he's saying.
We haven't seen any form of intelligent alien life, mostly because the story focuses on humanity and the internal machinations of our own human minds.
The inner machinations of my mind are an enigma.
There's a section later in the video, also totally plagiarized, and Riley can't even say the name of the aliens right. Here, hold on. Look at this word. I know it's weird, but take 5 seconds and work through it. How would you pronounce this word? Let's hear Quinn's Ideas say it.
The Tleilaxu, for example, are almost not human.
And now, Riley.
Take the Tleilaxu, for example.
Mispronouncing things is totally normal, I'm not gonna judge, but the word Tleilaxu appears 93 times in Dune Messiah alone. Anyone reasonably familiar with the Dune saga would probably be able to do better than that. This is a reoccurring trend through a ton of Riley's videos, by the way. He churns out content so quickly because, theft, that he pronounces things wrong constantly.
The ATSTs at Andor were plot twist. The joke's been playing Puppet Master. It would be an absurd masterpiece. Harry and Hermione used time turners. Taron Egerton's character Eggsy, described as an anti-cytologic microspore, efficiently is beyond our current and likely ever capabilities. But that option is still prohibitively expensive for any one planet species. This was before the time that writing had even been invented yet.
Or, in a rare attempt to actually switch up the wording here and there, he'll say something that doesn't even make sense.
Albeit heavily altered by large doses of the spice melange. Large doses of the spice melange.
Large juices of the spice melange.
I can't tell if he's saying juices or deuces, but either way, it doesn't make any sense. Remember a minute ago when I said that his The Size of Star Wars Ships video was his most plagiarized video? I was wrong. It's definitely the Are There Aliens in Dune video. Since Riley knows so much less about Dune than Star Wars, he can't reword as freely because he can barely read what he's plagiarized in the first place.
After the God Emperor Leto II's death, turned out to be within the star's habitable zone. Following protocol for potential alien contact, these ruins were proof that intelligent alien life had once existed.
The last video to briefly mention is Riley's The Entire First 2 Dune Books Explained. This is the only video that doesn't really fit the plagiarism pattern of the other 7. While the thumbnail is clearly ripped from Roy Allor's What Paul Atreides Became in Dune Messiah, Dune Timeline Explained, the actual content of Riley's video doesn't appear to be plagiarized. I did a fair bit of digging into other videos with similar titles, but I couldn't find any compelling evidence that Riley's video was unoriginal. Do I still suspect that his video was unoriginal? Of course, but I can't prove it. Before I move on, I think it bears mentioning that almost all of the examples of plagiarism I've included so far were found in the first 2 minutes of their respective videos. I was a smart boy and actually edited most of the video comparisons before writing the script so I could tailor my script around what I found. And I'll tell you what, Riley made my job really easy here.
Hopefully this ambitious video, Mike, can help you with that.
Hopefully this somewhat ambitious video will help you keep everything straight.
Before people moved in and named everything,
Westeros was inhabited by children of the forest and giants.
You can't be serious.
At the very beginning of the video, I mentioned H-Bomber Guy, referencing his magnum opus, Plagiarism in YouTube, which sent shockwaves through the platform when it dropped at the end of 2023.
It was real the whole time!
Harry Brewis is a genius and a creator I really look up to, but I'll be the first to tell you, I'm not Harry Brewis.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm not Tony Stark.
The video that I'm making here wouldn't exist without Harry's videos, and to say that he's influenced me as a creator would be a massive understatement. In Plagiarism in YouTube, Harry focuses the majority of the video's runtime on James Somerton, a queer creator who stole massive swaths of content from other, smaller queer creators. James used his big channel status to try to get away with stealing from those he considered beneath him. But that's not what Riley's doing here. He's broadly stealing from name brand YouTube channels, and he's not afraid to go after the big stuff. Minute Physics has almost 6 million subscribers, and the original Time Travel and Fiction Rundown has more than 11 million views. Star Wars Theory has more than 3 million subscribers, Useful Charts has almost 2 million, and Quinn's Ideas has just under 1 million. Looking further back into his catalog, Riley has also stolen videos from Nerdstalgic, CBR, NerdSync, Film Comics Explained, and many, many more. And I think Riley's targeting of larger, more popular creators is calculated. As someone with under 500 subscribers, I can tell you that if I found out that someone was stealing my work, I'd stop at nothing to get it taken down. I mean, I'm not making money off these videos, so I'll be damned if somebody else does. On the other hand, a channel like Minute Physics has almost 200 videos with more than 1 million views. Henry's body of work has probably been plagiarized more times than he can count, so he doesn't have time to go after everybody that steals from him. It's probably just a better use of his time to report the video if he sees it and move on. The interesting thing to me about Riley's videos and the arc of his channel as a whole, though, is just how the plagiarism has changed over the years. According to Social Blade, Riley's channel was opened in 2012, but the first public video was posted in September of 2021. In that time, the channel referred to itself as Streaming the Galaxy, which would continue until January of 2022. In that first year, Riley released just about a video a week, a pace, to me, which is almost unfathomable. Even with the average video being between 4 and 8 minutes long, that's an insane amount of work. Though the work of this era is pretty derivative, the videos themselves don't raise too many red flags. He has a video about how Spider-Man No Way Home's trailer captures its audience's attention, for example.
Marvel Studios has completely captured their audience's attention for Spider-Man No Way Home.
As far as I can tell, this video isn't plagiarized, but it isn't terribly compelling either.
By generating a huge amount of two things: buzz and hype.
Not sure how to tell you this, Riley, but hype and buzz are pretty much the same thing.
Now, Marvel Studios does a great job of capturing their audience's attention, and it starts many months in advance of any film's actual release date. They do this by first creating hype for the movie with a teaser trailer, as well as by creating an environment where buzz is bound to happen.
The entire purpose of a movie trailer is to generate hype. Movie trailers have existed with this express purpose for more than a century.
That's the whole point!
Whatever. It's not a very interesting video, but that's what I'm getting at. It's pedestrian, but at least it's original. Other videos in this era raise red flags, though, like his video, Pixar's Lightyear Trailer Breakdown, Easter Eggs and Details You Missed, which has the exact same title and thumbnail as a video released by the channel New Rockstars. The funny thing is, though, Riley's video is posted a day earlier. My guess is that once a larger channel released a video along the same lines, he retroactively changed the title and thumbnail of his video to poach some views. Again, this is just my assumption. A tool like the Internet Archive isn't useful here because Riley's channel was just too obscure at that time. Even now, the video in question only has 1,000 views. It's possible that New Rockstars copied Riley's title and thumbnail, but I consider this unlikely. While many of the videos in this era don't seem to blatantly plagiarize, there are definitely still examples. The 14th video ever posted to his channel is called Captain America Theory, Is He Mr. Rogers?, which is pulled from a Screen Rant video that came out a couple years prior. But the texture of the plagiarism is different here. The original video has under 100,000 views, and Riley is a lot more careful about altering the structure and his word choice. but not that careful.
At the end of the movie, Steve takes it upon himself to go and return all of the Infinity Stones to their rightful place.
Steve Rogers was tasked with returning the Infinity Stones to their own timelines,
and then uses the last of the Pym particles to venture back to the 1940s, where he lives out a happy life with his love, Peggy Carter.
When Steve went back in time using the Pym particles, we assume that he placed the Infinity Stones back in their respective timelines before traveling to the 1940s to live with his one true love, Peggy.
He also has a video from that era called How Kingsman Perfected the Spy Genre video essay, which actually appears to have both an original title and thumbnail. Good job, 2021 Rocket Riley! But there was also a video released not too long before that called How Kingsman Pulled Off One of the Craziest Fight Scenes in History by Nerdstalgic. Nerdstalgic is a channel that Riley will go on to plagiarize more blatantly later. Remember that Deadpool thumbnail from earlier? So it's unsurprising that he stole from Nerdstalgic more subtly earlier in his catalog. Even though Riley and Nerdstalgic's respective Kingsman videos seem to be about different aspects of the film, the influence is hard to miss. The more time I spend watching these videos, the easier it is for me to tell when he's plagiarizing and when he's saying something original. In his Kingsman essay, Riley drops the line,
"Kingsman is an ultra-violent and highly stylized love letter to the James Bond films of the 70s and 80s.
Which is a great line. But this is the same person who, just a few months prior, boldly proclaimed that a movie trailer was generating hype and buzz, so I'm positive he didn't write it.
Kingsman, The Secret Service, is Matthew Vaughn's ultra-violent and stylized take on classy British espionage that is heavily influenced by the James Bond films of the 70s and 80s.
Wow, would you look at that? But like I said a second ago, Nerdstalgic's video is just about the fight scene in the church, whereas Riley's video is an overview of the entire movie. Here, I'll show you.
While the film is filled with some really amazing moments, this hyper-violent church brawl stands out as the most impressive and memorable sequence of the film. It's 4.5 minutes of delicately choreographed but absolutely brutal chaos that took 7 days to shoot.
Since Riley's video is about the movie as a whole, I'm sure he wouldn't plagiarize that part.
Right? Right?
But my absolute favorite scene of the movie takes place in the Kentucky church.
No!
These 4.5 minutes of brutal chaos took a total of 7 days to shoot.
Ah, gee, I was wrong. What a surprise.
Let's pause here though. I could probably make an entire video on this one scene since it's likely one of the most memorable 4.5 minutes of any spy movie ever released.
Oh, could you, Riley? Could you? In all fairness to Riley, though, some of his videos don't appear to have any plagiarism in them at all, but they're few and far between. He has a series of videos called 50 Movies, 50 More Movies, and 50 TV Shows to Watch Before You Die, the first installment having almost 1.5 million views. They're original, but like his other original videos, they're not very good. They're just brief clips from movies and TV shows he likes, in no particular order. No insight, no reasons why he enjoys them, nothing. Just a collection of snippets with some bland, copyright-free music underneath. Reaching back to try and connect the arc of Riley's channel to plagiarism in YouTube, you'd think a video like that would have spooked him into trying to be more honest. Bomber Guy absolutely destroyed James Somerton's career, so if I were a YouTuber with a history of plagiarism, I would probably delete everything and lie low for a while. But Riley did the exact opposite, seemingly shifting his plagiarism into maximum overdrive when plagiarism in YouTube dropped.
You'll never catch me, Krabs. Not when I shift into maximum overdrive. Hi-ya!
Bomber Guy's video dropped at the tail end of 2023. What was Rocket Riley's first video of 2024, you might ask? How about a direct ripoff of a Drew Gooden video? And from there, it spirals completely out of control. My theory is that the plagiarism began subtly, and when no one seemed to notice, he started to up the ante. Looking through his catalog, you can tell just how desperate he is for views. There's one of just about every type of video you can imagine. Trailer breakdowns, everything we know so far type videos, video essays, fan theory analyses, clickbait lifestyle videos, and coverage of just about every nerd fandom known to man. Look at this, are you ready? He even has a bad lip reading of Dune Part 2. You know, Bad Lip Reading, the YouTube channel with 8 million subscribers and 1.5 billion lifetime views. Yeah, Riley decided to try his hand at a bad lip reading. It's an almost unfathomable lack of self-awareness. The best part is that he calls it rocket dubs. rocket dubs. We'll analyze this video together in a minute, but I'd actually like to show it to you first. Since I know you haven't seen it, let's watch it together in its entirety. It's only 2.5 minutes long, but I promise it's worth your time.
Take it in. You only see it for the first time once.
Here, got your cat this new toy, but don't give it to the foxes, okay? No foxes. Those guys piss me off. Don't worry, it's safe. They eat my fruits all day. No foxes. Be careful. No foxes. That's for your cat, please. Yes, I know. Nom, 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 nom. Okay.
Hey, buddy! Watch out for the fox!
There's that fox again.
Look, it's just the cat. No way. It's the foxes again. I'll pray for your cat. The cats. I got him. Meow. It's you, wow. Wipe off your boots. Not a chance. He breaks things, that fox. I want him gone. Did you just fart? Go brush your teeth. His breath is bad. I got a bug in my mouth. Maybe I should try to suck it out. You hurt my lips. Knock, knock. Who's there? Your mom. Ah, that's good.
The fox is dead!
Nightmare about the fox?
He's gone, babe. Don't worry about him.
Where's your tongue? Rawr, I'm a big worm. Yeah, and I brought my friend. Broccoli. We should be eating more of it. Maybe even twice as much, especially at your old age. What do you think will happen if you don't eat your broccoli? You don't like broccoli, do you? Of course not! I'm a fan of chocolate. I want to be a chocolatier. Really? I don't believe you. I'm pretty serious. You'll need my help. Thank you. You bore us all.
Chocolate!
My life is all about chocolate.
Well, that was fun. Unsurprisingly, his attempt at a bad lip reading is terrible. Since bad lip reading didn't do a video on Doom Part 2, Riley actually had to be creative for once, and it shows. Bad lip reading did, however, do a video on Doom Part 1. Shall we compare?
You don't know how to swim. Yes, I do. No. No, you don't. Look, yesterday was the third time. Oh, what just happened? I don't know. I think that was your bone. See, like right here. Oh, well, no, that's more like rope. You're the butt crack of your whole family.
Hey, buddy! Watch out for the fox!
Look, it's just the cat.
It's so much worse. Like, what is this? Her lips aren't even moving.
Look, it's just the cat.
It might actually be funnier than a real bad lip reading because it's so bad. And for whatever reason, Riley fixates on the word fox, and it makes no sense.
But don't give it to the foxes, okay? No foxes. No foxes. Careful. No foxes. It's the foxes again.
The fox is dead!
Nightmare about the fox?
It's all just so embarrassing. I mean, he'll steal from anyone. No target is too big. And the craziest thing of all is that it's paid off for him big time. Since the beginning of 2024, Riley has plagiarized harder than ever and has gained more than 100,000 subscribers. Most of his videos don't get that many views, but the algorithm is definitely capable of showing him some love. He has 13 videos with 500,000 views or more, and they're rife with plagiarism. Social Blade estimates he makes anywhere from a few $1,000s to high 5 figures per month off this crap, and as far as I can tell, I'm the first one to ever notice. And if I'm not the first one to notice, it's impossible to tell because I'm still pretty sure that he filters the words theft or plagiarism out of his comments section. I also think it bears mentioning that I don't make YouTube videos for a living, so the research I did for this video was far from exhaustive. Everything I've said so far was researched in the span of a couple weeks with what little free time I have. Someone with a couple hundred hours to kill could probably cobble together hours of examples of his plagiarism. And we haven't even talked about his short form content yet.
You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland.
and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Though a good chunk of Riley's YouTube videos are under 10 minutes long, for the purposes of this video, I'm classifying anything posted on Shorts, Instagram Reels, or TikTok as short-form content. Unsurprisingly, all this stuff is stolen too. Actually, I take that back. For legal reasons, I won't say all of it is stolen, but the plagiarism in his short-form catalog is even lazier and even more blatant than in his long-form catalog. Let's look at his most viewed TikTok, which also happens to be his most viewed Instagram Reel and YouTube Short. It's a time-lapse of Ryan Reynolds getting into Deadpool makeup and then ripping it off as a prank. This is a video pulled straight from Ryan Reynolds' own YouTube channel, and all Riley does is add a little voiceover and some cringy sound effects.
Did you know that it takes over 8 hours for Ryan Reynolds to be transformed into Deadpool?
What's wrong?
Riley's version has 35 million views on TikTok, 20 million views on YouTube Shorts, and another 10 million views on Instagram Reels. That's 65 million collective views across all platforms when the original has around 10 million. Riley releases short-form videos almost daily, so forgive me if the examples I cite are a little old. It's hard for me to keep up. If you look at his shorts from early March of 2025, he has a series of videos called Why You Don't Want Super Speed, Invisibility, Flying Powers, or Super Strength. All 4 of these titles are pulled directly from videos made by Kyle Hill from Because Science.
Handles would come flying off.
Imagine trying to open a door and the handle flying off.
Accidentally bending your glasses would be a constant struggle.
Or bending your glasses just by adjusting them.
You would heat up like a meteorite and eventually burn up and vaporize yourself.
Even the air around you could superheat, potentially creating plasma, meaning you'd literally be running inside of a fireball.
So, to be truly invisible, if you wanted to sneak around anywhere, you would have to be cold and naked and uncomfortable.
First, your clothes wouldn't turn invisible with you. If only your body becomes invisible, you'd have to be completely naked for it to work.
Fly up above the clouds and oxygen availability will be your first altitude limiter.
Flying at high altitudes means dealing with oxygen deprivation, extreme cold, and sunburn.
You could take your chances with a bird strike, but...
And let's not forget the dangers of birds, buildings, or gravity pulling you down if you lost focus.
And this pattern continues. If you sort his shorts by popular and move down the list, none of them are original. He has a short with 18 million views about a forbidden lightsaber form that's stolen word for word from a short made by the channel E-Blades.
So why does no one use this forbidden technique in a lightsaber fight?
This
form of lightsaber combat was actually called Trikata. Trikata was created by a Jedi counselor in the days of the Old Republic to compensate for the weakness with using a lightsaber.
Trikata was created by a Jedi counselor in the days of the Old Republic to compensate for the weakness of using a lightsaber.
It's unclear if the E-Blades short is itself original, but Riley copied it regardless. You can continue this exercise all the way down his page. Everything Darth Vader hated about his suit, stolen.
The medical droids that rebuilt him after Mustafar had used an inferior alloy.
The medical droids that rebuilt him after the duel on Mustafar used an inferior alloy,
causing strips of his prosthetic limbs to snag on his bodysuit.
Why do Star Wars vehicles have legs? Stolen.
A large armored walker is very top heavy, and their long legs are an obvious weak point in their design.
They're top heavy, slow, and those legs are obvious weak points.
Well, back in the day when The Empire Strikes Back first came to theaters, no one had ever seen anything like the AT-AT, and it was probably a magical moment.
Back in 1980, no one had ever seen anything like the AT-AT. It was groundbreaking movie magic.
It also was a very intimidating looking machine.
But it wasn't just about combat, it was about intimidation.
Why does the Millennium Falcon have a fork shape at the front? Also stolen.
You ever wonder why the Millennium Falcon has a gap in the front that kind of looks like a fork?
Ever wonder why the Millennium Falcon has the iconic fork shape at the front?
You see, originally the Millennium Falcon was just a lowly YT-1300 Corellian freighter. The YT line was made up of mostly small commercial freighters and tugboats.
The Falcon started as a YT-1300 Corellian freighter, built mainly for commercial transport and tugboat duties.
The fork in the front of the ship perfectly interlocks with a galactic standard shipping crate.
And that forked gap? It's made to lock perfectly with standard galactic cargo crates.
Not every short-form video Riley makes is stolen, of course, but like before, the original ones aren't very interesting. Remember a few minutes back when we watched his bad lip reading together? That wasn't very interesting, was it? I just sat there and stared at a screen you couldn't see? Well, here's Riley reacting to the trailer for Andor Season 2.
We're in a war. You wanna fight? Or you wanna win?
Okay, I'm loving the song choice. That's a song right here.
All I hope to come to be. The revolution starts now.
What a swell party this is.
So ready for this. Star Wars is back, baby. Love to see stormtroopers. And Krennic. That's it.
He's a really gifted communicator. Kinda jealous.
He has such a way with words.
Riley's YouTube shorts and TikToks rack up millions and millions of views. Between the two, he has more than 60 posts with 1 million plus views, and I'm sure that number will have grown by the time I release this video. His Instagram reels get a good deal less attention than his shorts and TikToks, but he still has 5 or 6 reels with over 1 million views, and a bunch have gotten at least 100,000. When you add up the views across all platforms, this amounts to literally hundreds of millions of views on content that isn't his. Now, it needs to be said that the world of short-form video has been littered with this kind of theft for years. Hopefully you don't go on Facebook, but if you do, you've probably seen posts from the page Unilad or one of its 10,000 sister pages. The main Unilad page has more than 50 million followers, and all it does is re-upload other people's content. Sure, they give the original posters credit a good chunk of the time, but they're still shamelessly poaching other people's content, largely without permission. Theft is a massive issue across platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts, but that's an issue outside the scope of this video. At the end of the day, Riley's just one more person adding to the problem, and he's doing it so flagrantly and so consistently that it needed to be talked about. It honestly feels worse than what the guys at Unilad do. They're just re-uploading viral videos for ad revenue. Riley is putting so much effort into his theft that it feels almost diabolical. A shot-for-shot remake of somebody else's work is insane. This probably took him the better part of a day to make. I'm sure he could write and produce his own videos in a similar amount of time. It just makes me sad. But it gets even sadder, if you can believe that, but not in the way you'd think. On top of all this other crap, Riley also has a Patreon. I'm surprised I even found it. He doesn't link to it on any of his pages except his Instagram, where it sits all alone in his bio. The page is well decorated, with excited posts about subscriber milestones and a $5 a month tier with some awesome perks. But no one's there. Hundreds of millions of views and hundreds of thousands of followers, and the Patreon's a ghost town. As far as I can tell, no one's ever interacted with it. And like, I get it. I have a Patreon despite having no business having a Patreon. I mean, a kid can dream. It's just wild to watch someone celebrate subscriber milestones to an empty comment section. I think more than anything, YouTubers strive for a sense of community with their audience. You want to make videos that attract like-minded people. That's what it's all about. I can tell how badly Riley wants this sense of community, but he doesn't have it because you can't build community around theft. You have no patterns, no recognizable traits, no real opinions. You just take on the thoughts of others and leave your audience with nothing to grasp onto. And frankly, that's what he deserves, because he's not a YouTuber. He's cosplaying as a YouTuber. This must be just a really lonely way to exist. Sure, he probably makes good money, but none of the positive comments he gets are directed at him. They're directed at the people he's stolen from. And that must suck. Before I wrap this up, you might be wondering what exactly you can do about this sort of thing. Plagiarism is everywhere, and there's no one thing we can do to completely eradicate it, but the most important thing is that we watch what we watch with a critical eye. I know that watching YouTube videos and scrolling TikTok is a great way to relax, but it's important that we never fully let our guard down. Many types of videos, like vlogs, opinion pieces, or comedy sketches, don't necessitate sources, but if you're watching an informative video that doesn't cite any sources, it's something you should notice. If there are inconsistencies that strike you as suspicious, or a complete lack of sources when the video clearly uses outside information, don't be afraid to leave a comment or dig deeper to make sure the work is original. If you're scrolling on TikTok or Instagram and see a funny video that's reposted by a meme account, take a minute to find the original video, give it a like, and then block the meme account or report it as spam. These sorts of steps take time out of your day, but it's really important that we protect the work of creators. If we were all able to report just one spam account a day, we'd be able to make a real difference in the content creation landscape. At this point, I've been filming for hours and I'm really tired, but I want to take a moment here to speak to Riley specifically. Look, man, I get it. We have a lot in common. We both like Star Wars, we both like Dune, and even more than that, we like talking about TV and movies. You look roughly my age, so like me, you probably grew up idolizing the people that you steal from. I've wanted to be a YouTuber since I was 13 years old. Here I am, 16 years later, and yet to break 500 subscribers. This shit is hard, but if I'm destined to get there, I'll get there. I know what I'm making is mine, and I happen to think it's good. If it catches on, so be it, and if it doesn't, at least I'll be satisfied knowing that I did my best. My advice to you? Burn it down. All of it. You've done irreparable harm to the people you've stolen from, and probably profited tens of thousands of dollars off their hard work. I don't even want you to apologize, because it's clearly never weighed on your conscience. I just want you to make this video irrelevant as quickly as humanly possible. I also just wanted to say that I'm sorry. If I were in your shoes and I came across a video like this, I'd probably feel like the sky is falling. In my heart, I don't really want to make videos like this. I'd rather make videos talking about my favorite movies and TV shows, but what you do is something I can't tolerate. I don't want people to come after you. I don't want you to feel unsafe. I just want you to go away. And I hope someday you'll find a way to make something that's yours and just be happy with it, because I'll tell you what, it's an unparalleled feeling. If you, the non-Riley viewer, have gotten to this point in the video, I'm eternally grateful for your time and attention. This is by far the most ambitious video I've ever made, and I'm immensely proud of it. If you want to support me, links to my socials, my podcast, and the Patreon that I have no business having are in the description below. Thanks for watching.